Welcome to Friday. We made it, thank God. Just about the weekend, but not before we do a little true crime together. We've got some brand new video of the Mark Sanchez incident. You may have thought that you saw, what happened there with Mark, clutching his upper torso and stumbling out of an alley. There was an altercation between a driver and between Mark Sanchez, but now new video that points to all the things Mark Sanchez was doing right beforehand. And let me tell you, it's weird. He's wandering aimlessly. He's repeating his steps back and forth. He's running, he's stumbling, and then all hell breaks loose. I'm going to talk to Harvey Levin about this video and what it tells us and what it doesn't tell us. Does it bode well for him or the opposite? I'm also going to ask that critical question. Has he called his last football game? That's coming up in just a few moments. And also, Kevin Hunter has entered the conversation again. Do you recognize that name? How about this name? Wendy Williams. Kevin's her ex-husband. Note the ex part of the husband. Turns out he wants $250,000. That's $250 million. And he's prepared to sue for it. Only he's not suing Wendy. He's suing the courts. And Wendy knows nothing about it. But guess what happened when Wendy found out? And guess what happened to Kevin's suit? You're going to hear about all that in just a moment because she called Harvey Levin while he was live streaming to give a piece of her mind. And by the way, if anybody thinks that she's incompetent in some way, wait until you hear what she has to say about her ex and about that lawsuit. That's coming up too. And then just, for some Friday night fun, I don't know if you're planning to travel soon, Thanksgiving's coming, holidays and all the rest. What do you suppose happens when you put two drunk and sunburned sisters on a flight home to New Jersey from Orlando, Florida? Well, as you can imagine, assault. Assault is what happens. And then what happens next is when you meet the police after a gate agent gets laid out. This is what you might expect might happen. Take a look.
You are not handcuffing my sister. I'm calling
No. Okay, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm calling Stuart. I'm calling Stuart. I'm not
settle down. Stop.
I'm not leaving her. Are you kidding me?
Stop.
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Be cool. Here.
Ma'am.
Give me your phone. Give me your phone.
Back up.
Are you kidding me?
Take a breath.
You might want to take more than just a breath. Here's my question for you, because I know you've seen enough of these airplane, airport, assault, and bad behavior videos to make your blood boil. What do you think happens after? Do they get a slap on the wrist? Do they get thrown in the clink? What do you wish would happen after? I'm going to tell you about the pink glove treatment that these two sisters got and why that is happening so often. Or is it? All that is straight ahead, but I'm going to begin here tonight. I'm going to begin actually with a few minutes from a week ago tonight. The incident that an former NFL quarterback and a truck driver for an oil recycling service likely wished never happened. It was a little after midnight, heading into last weekend, when Mark Sanchez encountered Perry Toll, who was parking his work truck at a loading dock behind an Indianapolis hotel. Mark Sanchez was in town for his TV job with Fox Sports, the one he don't know. And you all know what happened after that moment, right? You may have even seen some video of the aftermath. But now TMZ has acquired 25 minutes of surveillance video from multiple cameras in and around that downtown alley. If you're not up to speed on any of this, police say Sanchez pulled Perry Toll out of his truck for reasons still very much a mystery and began fighting with him. Perry Toll is 69 years old and told police that he tried to pepper spray the former 38-year-old quarterback. When the pepper spray didn't work, he says he pulled a knife instead to defend himself and stabbed that much younger, much bigger man. Somehow the driver also ended up terribly, terribly injured with a very deep gash to his face that apparently went so deep it cut his tongue. He was taken to the hospital, and so was that former football player, Mark Sanchez. But some new video tonight hints that Sanchez may have been very, very drunk. And remember, that is one of the charges. But the video doesn't come close to answering why. Why a popular ex-footballer and TV analyst allegedly picked a near-fatal fight with an elderly man in a back alley. The footage starts at 12:05 a.m., October 4th, with Perry Toll driving that truck right there down into the alleyway. See him turning in? He parks the truck out of the camera's view, so we don't know whether he and Sanchez even saw each other at that point, but you can see him passing that dumpster. 7 minutes later, Mark Sanchez walks out of the alley. He's heading north, passes the dumpster, you see him there, and he's not yet injured and not seemingly agitated or stressed. He does move kind of slowly, deliberately, kind of looks around that dumpster, which is odd. He seems a little unsure on his feet as well. When he gets to the end of that alley, he ends up turning right onto the sidewalk. But about 90 seconds later, he re-enters the frame, walking in the opposite direction. He walks towards the alley, but he decides not to go down into the alley. He walks out of the camera's view again, but again, he's aimlessly walking in this opposite direction. 6 minutes go by, and then Mark Sanchez returns, comes back this way. And then he does something sort of strange. He seems out of it, he's crossing that street, and he leans up against a wall. Feels like he needs to sort of steady himself and lean up against the wall, kind of out of the camera's view at the entrance to that alleyway. Look at that person on the right. Mark's just off camera. The guy on the right there, another person's walking past him. They kind of look like they're talking to each other. It almost looks as though this guy is like saying, "You all right? Hey, buddy, you okay?" I'm not sure because we don't have audio. But the other guy moves on, and that is when Mark Sanchez decides to start going for a jog. And he jogs into the alley. He jogs along, then he decides to pause at the dumpster in his jogging, which is odd, again. And he jogs towards Perry Toll's truck. Again, the truck is parked, here he goes, jogging, but Perry's truck is parked out of view of the camera, so we don't see what happens next. But police say this is the time, 12:25 a.m. until 12:30 a.m., that Mark Sanchez pulls Toll out of his truck and begins fighting. At 12:30, Sanchez is then seen running out of the alley and again taking that right turn onto the sidewalk that he did before. But now it's very different. Now he's really got something wrong with him, right? You can see his hand going up to his chest there. He's not walking easily. His shirt is visibly stained there with blood, and that's possibly blood from Perry Toll, but much of it certainly from his own wounds right there. 7 minutes after that, the Indianapolis police and firefighters converge on the scene and they close it off to the public. Mr. Perry Toll is wheeled out on a gurney at 12:47 a.m. and Mark Sanchez is off to the hospital as well. Sanchez is in that hospital as we speak. He's still there. Remember, he was in critical on Sunday. You might have seen some reports saying that he was released from the hospital, went off to jail, and bonded out. No, he's still in the hospital. We checked with his family, and they said those reports weren't true. Perry Toll is recovering at home. We were told by Mr. Toll through other media sources that his son was getting married this weekend. I don't know if it's tomorrow, tonight, but, you know, Perry Toll didn't think he was going to be able to go given his injuries. Mark Sanchez is charged with felony battery involving serious bodily injury, and he's also charged with 3 lessers that are misdemeanors. But if convicted, he could face several years in prison. Earlier today, I spoke with Harvey Levin, the founder and face and the executive producer of TMZ, because they got this exclusive video first. Here's some of our conversation. So what do you make of the pattern in this video of Mark Sanchez stumbling along, changing directions? Then he's like breaking into a run. Does this look like somebody who's drunk or drugged? What do you see?
Well, I don't really know the difference just in terms of stumbling, but he is out of his head. There is just no question when you watch this. He is wandering aimlessly after midnight. He goes back and forth in areas. He runs at times. But there's one point, Ashleigh, where he leans against a wall and he seems to fall asleep for 2 minutes, because we have the surveillance video. And for 2 minutes, he's leaning against this wall. And it's almost as if he just passed out. and then somebody comes by, and it seems like that guy wakes him up, and they exchange words. And to me, we can only see the guy he exchanged words with, but it looked kind of angry. But right after that is when he went back to the scene and apparently attacked this truck driver, Perry Toll.
Do we know if the police know who that passerby was and if they've interviewed that witness?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even sure how relevant that witness is going to be, because really this is about what happened at the scene. And they seem confident enough that they made this arrest almost immediately. I mean, they very quickly said Mark Sanchez was the aggressor.
And on these videos, we don't see the incident itself, which makes me think because the police were so quick, Harvey, they know when they know. And they're careful if it's Mark Sanchez and it's going to destroy his world to make that arrest and be that, solid in their convictions. They've got other video. Do you know if they have other video? Do you know if other video exists?
My understanding is there are 3 surveillance videos, and they are from different angles. And when you watch all 3 of them, you can capture what happened. And I am told, at least in one, and again, I don't have this to a point where I can absolutely say this is true, but I have spoken to somebody. I believe in one there might be audio as well.
Audio?
Possibly. I mean, that's what I'm told.
Wow.
But I'm not, I want to make that clear. I have not heard this, so this is secondhand, but yes.
That would make such a big difference, because then you can hear if Mr. Toll is pleading with this guy, please, no, and then if it's stand your ground, and so much more legally can be proven with the audio if there is audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I want to go back in time a little bit to the pub, because there's this pub, and I know that anything that you learn from people in the pub, if he was there, would be prior to, but it would at least help to know state of mind, whether he was overserved, all sorts of other things. Do you have any idea whether there's, whether police have interviewed in the pub? Do you know about any pub folks who've been able to shed some light on this?
I just know that especially when you look at the surveillance video, he was familiar with this pub. When he was walking around, apparently broadcasters stay at this particular hotel, and they are all familiar with it, and he's been there before. So he knew this pub. I mean, there was a reason after he was stabbed, he made a beeline. In fact, you even see in the video, he is running at one point. After he gets stabbed, you would think he'd hobble, but at a point he was just running and beelined it for the pub and then went inside. So he is familiar with it. In terms of what he did that night, I can't tell you, but what I can say is when you watch this video, like you said, I mean, I don't know what he was drinking or what he had taken, but it was something.
Yeah, and do you know about potential witnesses in the pub, if the police have been able to speak with them and find out any more intelligence, what he said when he came into the pub, maybe if he'd been in the pub prior to, what he was like?
Ashleigh, what I'm being told is the surveillance video itself tells the story. So, what he was doing before, how much he was drinking, I'm not sure how much that really even matters, because the entire incident is captured on those surveillance videos. Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking like you. As a defense attorney, I would say, no, Mr. Sanchez wasn't belligerent at all. But suddenly, if you've got these pub staff who say we had to cut him off, he was trying to pick fights with all of us, it would make a different picture. Again, secondhand. But what I'm told is this surveillance video leaves little question about belligerence. Wow. So the other question is, there are 2 legal avenues at play here, because a civil suit has already been filed. Like, holy smokes, that was lightning fast. Right, but I get it, right? So legally, put on your defense attorney hat. What do you do with what we think the police have on Mark Sanchez right now? Well, look, I mean, it does kind of come down to a case if the surveillance video is as clear as what I'm being told, and, again, how the cops reacted to it. it's not a great defense to say, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And so then what do? And, you know, one of the things that defense lawyers often do, as you know, in cases like this, is they immediately put their client in rehab. And and again, I'm not saying what's going to happen to Mark Sanchez, but I just have seen so many of these cases that if this was alcohol fueled or whatever, that you put somebody in rehab and show they want to get better and that they were sick. And, you know, if he doesn't have a record, then it does open the door to making some kind of a deal. Because right now, you remember, he's facing a felony charge of battery with severe injury, you know, in addition to the 3 misdemeanors, and they could add to that. So, you know, if he could strike some kind of a deal, you know, you could almost call that a win for Sanchez, depending, especially if they can get the felony dismissed.
Well,
I don't know that's going to happen. It was really brutal.
I mean, the extraordinary injury that Mr. Toll suffered and the long-lasting effect of it dictates a lot of times the level of the charge, right? And whether there will be additional charges afterward.
And you know what, Ashleigh? It's really interesting because this shouldn't matter, but the reality is the guy just becomes an American citizen. He's a hardworking guy. He shows up to his job. He's doing the right thing. His kid's about to get married. And all of it just blows up because of Mark Sanchez. And, you know, the backstory is not supposed to be particularly relevant when it comes to a victim.
Yeah.
But it's hard for prosecutors to ignore who you're looking at. And so I think that makes it harder on Mark Sanchez.
Well, not only that, but the story that he's taken this job instead of following his dream to play guitar because he's looking after his sister's, you know, his wife's sister who was shot in the head. I mean, all of it is so tragic to think that this is now, you know, his life. I wanted to ask you, though, if Mark Sanchez legally on the criminal side is able to strike a deal. Don't know if prosecutors will offer one. Don't know. But if he's able to strike a deal, how does that play into a civil settlement or award? Because if you're going to admit full on in a criminal case, okay, I did this and I'm guilty of it and I'm sorry. Whoa, all that is ripe for the pickings for the civil effort, right?
Well, it depends on what he pleads to, right? If he pleads guilty, yes. If he pleads no contest, you know, there are ways of pleading where it can't be used in a civil case. But I go back to the surveillance video, that if the surveillance video is as clear as what I'm being told and what the cops seem to believe, that surveillance video is going to be devastating in a civil case where the standard of proof is way lower than it is in a criminal case. And in this case, the police felt it was so clear in a case that would require guilt beyond a reasonable doubt that they immediately drew their conclusion. So if it's that clear criminally, you would think it's even clearer civilly.
Has he called his last NFL game?
I don't know. You know,
Really?
I got to tell you, Ashleigh, we are coming up on TMZ's 20th anniversary, and I have seen so many cases where you take a snapshot of somebody, you know, at their worst time, and you assume it's over. It's never going to happen again. I will give you Chris Brown, where everybody thought over and out, and Chris Brown is now filling venues. You look at Michael Vick, where people said he's done, and he goes back to playing football. So, you know, sometimes as clear as it seems in the moment, it's just not the way it ends up in reality. So I don't know.
My thanks to Harvey Levin and the team at TMZ. We'll continue to report on this story as we learn more details, and you know we will very soon. And if you caught TMZ's live stream yesterday, you probably saw Harvey got a surprise phone call right in the middle of it, live on camera, from our mutual friend, Wendy Williams.
Oh, hold on, it's Wendy Williams.
Make sure she knows.
Hey, Wendy.
Hi.
You're on our live stream, just so you know. So if you don't want to say anything, you don't have to, okay?
Oh, but she did say some things. It's Wendy Williams, after all. When we come back, I'll play you that entire call and I'll tell you about a lawsuit that Wendy's ex-husband decided to file on her behalf, whether she knew about it or not. And yes, I said ex, but wait till you hear what she said. That's next. Harvey, Levin, and I have a few things in common, one of which is that neither of us knows when our phone is going to ring and Wendy Williams will be on the other end. It happened to Harvey just yesterday, just as he was sitting down for TMZ's daily live stream. And what did Wendy want to talk about? Mainly that $250 million lawsuit. Yeah, $250 million that her husband, ex-husband, filed over the summer. It was challenging the guardianship that Wendy herself has been fighting pretty well, but not successfully, for 3 years now. But a federal judge has just tossed that lawsuit out, basically saying, you're the ex. You have no standing here, fella. And now Wendy is revealing that she played no part of this in the first place, didn't even know about it. Here is her cold call to Harvey Levin, followed by Harvey's and my conversation about it.
Hold on, it's Wendy Williams.
Make sure she knows.
Hey, Wendy.
Hi.
You're on our live stream, just so you know. So if you don't want to say anything, you don't have to, okay?
Yeah, well, it's regarding my attorney, Alan Diamond.
We're cutting it.
So
we're going to cut the live
Kevin
stream
Hunter
moment right now,
Sr.,
too.
your ex-husband, they dismissed the case?
Yes, it was dismissed.
Can you bring my mic down?
You know, it was at a federal court hearing, earlier this morning. And, of course he wants to steal my money, the ex. In the meantime, it's been dismissed,
Are we going to?
and I'm happy. Why not?
Yeah, it made no sense to me. So a lot of people, and you still don't know how much money you have left.
The Guardian is stealing my money.
Well, no, you shouldn't say, we can't say that because we don't know. But what we know is you don't know how much money you have left.
My attorneys and I are highly upset at a few different things. But yeah, when I get out of guardianship and go back to making money, money, mo money, mo money.
Okay, we got to go do our show. I just want to say hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Okay,
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon.
I can't make sense of this dismissed lawsuit by Kevin Hunter. Can you?
Well, you can't make sense of it because you're a smart person, Ashleigh. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. A guy who has no current relationship with Wendy Williams, a guy whom Wendy Williams dislikes, and I would even add the word intensely dislikes, somebody who has no connection to her anymore, files this ridiculous lawsuit saying, I'm suing as a friend. That is ridiculous, and the court saw it as such. And this never was going to go anywhere, and it didn't.
I looked at the language and I thought, friend, when was the last time friend gave you standing in someone's guardianship? But what do you make of the $250 million listed in this lawsuit that Kevin filed? What exactly was he suggesting $250 million would do, and where would it go?
It's ridiculous. I mean, you can't decipher it because he pulled it out of you-know-where. And it just doesn't make any sense. None of what he did makes any sense. And Wendy is pissed off about it, insulted by it, and the judge ruled appropriately.
Yeah, I noticed when you were talking to her, and by the way, kudos when you get the subject of a big news story calling you, as opposed to the other way around.
I've been talking to Wendy now, going on a year about this.
Yeah.
Actually, I am, I know that you get passionate about stories you work on, and you have to kind of separate reporting it from the way you feel. But I got to tell you, in this case, maybe it's just I'm old enough now that I just don't care. But this is an outrage that Wendy Williams is in a guardianship. It is an outrage. And I cannot believe the justice system has worked this way for her. She has been in this for going on 3 years. I have talked to Wendy Williams for hours and hours and hours over the last, year. And This woman is the same person she was 15 years ago. And it's true, she had a substance abuse problem when she did that Lifetime documentary, and maybe then they should put her under guardianship. But she's not that person anymore. And you don't take somebody's freedom away when they are lucid and competent. She has people who can help her, and she supposedly has money. But instead, this woman is locked in a 5th floor memory unit where the Guardian is paying this facility $25,000 a month. The Guardian is making hundreds of dollars an hour, and other people are getting paid. Wendy can't even find out how much money she has left, and this judge is holding her to it. And I just want to say one other thing, and I'm sorry for going on this rant, but you know, they say that Wendy has frontotemporal dementia. She says she doesn't. I don't know. I know that frontotemporal dementia just gets worse over time and never gets better. She has gotten better since when she was on Lifetime in that documentary. So it doesn't make sense. But even if she has it, if somebody, for example, is diagnosed with Alzheimer's, the day they're diagnosed, they don't create a guardianship. They let them live their life until they can't care for themselves and nobody else can. But until that point, they're able to be free. That's the law of our land. In Wendy's case, even if she has frontotemporal dementia, if you talk to her, as many have, she is fine. She can take care of herself now. She has a niece in Miami who wants to help her. And why would you keep her in this onerous guardianship when she can do it? If she has frontotemporal and it gets that bad, okay, revisit it. Why is she locked up like a prisoner right now?
With you.
Why is her bank account getting drained?
I mean,
why isn't somebody screaming, get her out of this thing?
$25,000 a month is coming out of her account, paid by that Guardian.
Her account.
A place she doesn't want to be in. And by the way, let me just say one other thing. As I listened to your conversation with her, when you asked her a question, why would Kevin be doing this? Her answer was so fast. She said, we're divorced forever. I mean, she really understood it right away. And it really struck me. We've taken all of her civil liberties away.
Yes.
For what? Because somebody thinks she can't manage. I know a lot of other people who are in far worse condition than Wendy, who don't have all their civil liberties taken away. So I'm with you, Harvey. Keep reporting on it. And you know what? We should be angry, and we should be telling people about this. More people should know about it, because it can happen to anyone if it can happen to her.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ashleigh.
Thanks, Harvey. And again, my big thanks to Harvey and his team for the video and for the conversation. And coming up next, if you're kicked off a plane while the plane is still at the gate, and then you decide to go off on a gate agent verbally and physically, do not be surprised if the boys in blue show up next.
You were not handcuffing my sister. I'm calling you.
No. Okay, wait a minute. Okay.
Don't worry, I'll call you. I'll call Stuart. I'm calling Stuart. I'm not
Settle
leaving
down.
you.
Stop.
I'm not leaving her.
What do you think happened next after the arrest? Charges, stiff penalties, maybe even jail? Not even close. I'm going to fill you in on the pink glove treatment after the break and ask the question, why is it bad acting on planes doesn't give you bad behavior results? The seats are small, the fees are big, and the flights are always late. But the one thing that I still expect from airline travel is that if somebody gets drunk off their ass and rowdy and abusive, they're going to pay for it. They'll get dragged off the plane and hauled into court and probably thrown in jail with a hefty fine. And I'm guessing if you are as sick of these people as I am, you will agree. And that brings me to the case of two New Jersey sisters, 22-year-old Kira Lyons and 31-year-old Maura Flores, who were trying to fly back home from Orlando last May on Frontier Airlines. A flight attendant pegged the younger one as a little too drunk to fly and sent her packing. And so off they went, both sisters, out off the plane and into the jetway. But on their way up the ramp, they attacked a gate agent both verbally and physically. And when they got into the terminal and came face to face with responding officers, they played the victim.
I can't, I'm literally, I literally can't.
Okay.
I went down, stay over here. I have anxiety.
She has
Anxiety and depression.
Do you need medical attention?
Yes.
Is it possible you could get off on the way for mid-20s? She's having hyperventilation problems. Conscious breathing.
1981.
I'm on there's a cop here right now.
Okay, stay right here.
All right, I will. I get like that. My whole like. You don't even say that.
Right in front of...
Yeah, that guy pushed her
Relax.
to the ground and she fell.
Let me get everything situated.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
Okay, because everybody's yelling. Everybody's talking to
I'm
only one
sorry.
person.
I graduated. She
Do you have-
graduated college tomorrow, so she's just trying to get
Do
home.
you have an idea?
Okay, well, in that jetway, from her position on the floor, the gate agent told a very different version of that story.
Explain to me what. The best way you can.
The flight attendants informed me that the girl was drunk. She was in the restroom drunk.
Which one do you know?
The youngest one, the little short
Not
one.
the one with the tattoos, but the other one, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
When they informed me that she was intoxicated, I had to call a GSC, which is my supervisor.
28.
He showed up. They started screaming. They were in the aircraft. I got asked to call you guys because they weren't leaving.
Okay.
She finally left the jet bridge. I was kind of following them out a little bit. I told him to retract the jet bridge. She turned around, got in my face, and said, "F you, you fat." I said, "Thank you." She turned around, or when she was facing me, she pushed me.
Okay.
And then turned around, and then the sister came up and shoved me again, which I tripped over a Miz.
So both of them hit you?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now back to them sisters, who seemingly could not even remember that the woman they shoved had even fallen down.
How did she manage to fall in the jet bridge?
Me?
No, the flight attendant. The lady.
Flight attendant.
Oh, you missed it. There was a part right there where she said, the flight attendant, I don't know, I don't remember. But it was after that moment that things got real. Those sisters were arrested, and they were charged with first-degree battery and second-degree disorderly conduct. And as you can imagine, that didn't go over well either.
You are not handcuffing my sister. I'm calling you.
No. Okay, wait a minute. Okay.
Don't worry, I'm calling Stuart. I'm calling Stuart. I'm not
settle
leaving
down.
her.
Stop before
I'm
we
not
get
leaving her. Are you kidding me?
Stop.
Are you kidding me?
Be cool. Here.
Ma'am,
Give me your phone.
back up.
Give me your
Back
phone.
up.
Take a breath.
Back up.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Stay like that. Stay cool. Thank you. Just stay cool.
I'm not going anywhere. Can you just please let me calm down? No, I can't calm down. I don't know what I did. What did I insult someone? My arm is tight.
Stop moving.
If you keep moving, it will dig into your
I
wrist.
understand now.
After that little show at the airport, months went by and the law kicked in. And pour yourself a stiff drink here. Instead of going to jail or paying a big fine, the sisters were sent to what's called a pretrial intervention program, and their cases were closed. And when they're done with their program, those nasty, ugly charges that they're facing, yeah, those are going to be dismissed too. Now, I'm going to stop talking before I scream, and I'm going to let my guest weigh in on all of this. Jason Collins is a flight attendant based in Florida who also knows a thing or two about justice because he just happened to get picked as jury foreman for Young Thug's RICO trial. Jason, good to have you on the show again. So, okay, it just feels to me like these people who disrupt airlines and get violent and drunk, they just always get a slap on the wrist. Am I wrong in thinking that?
You're not wrong about that, though. I mean, it is unfair because it does send the wrong message out to the public, because when someone does come on and they are intoxicated, it's up to the flight attendants across different airlines to inform either the pilot and or the gate agent about someone is intoxicated. So this right here, I don't believe that this was handled properly. I think that they should have had a more severe sentence because this does send a wrong signal to folks, especially as we're getting closer into the holidays.
I mean, it's first-degree battery and second-degree disorderly conduct. Those are not small charges. If you'd done that, you know, at the office to your colleague, or if you had done that to someone on the street, I just don't feel like you'd get that white glove treatment. Let me ask you this. I would think that you're a flight attendant, that woman we saw on the ground was a gate agent, that these are deeply personal. These things happen to them. Do you know if your colleagues in the industry follow these cases to find out what happens to their aggressors?
Not really, though. I mean, once something has happened, there is an incident report that everyone has to fill out. And as we can see right there, the police officer had his camera on, so he was cooperating from both sides, both parties, to make sure that things were adding up correctly. As far as that, I have known that we really do not follow it all the way through unless you are summoned for court, but it does depend on which airline that you're with.
Okay, this is just a quick question with a quick answer. If the law isn't going to serve up justice to these people, are you guys at least happy when it gets out there and goes viral and people get to see these folks for what they are?
Of course. I mean, at the end of the day, I think most people have have personal stories of intoxication. I've had an intoxicated person on my aircraft before, and they were nice about it. But at the same time, something like this does send a signal to everyone to say, hey, you know, just make sure that you don't go on an aircraft intoxicated, because it can lead to severe punishment. And in this case right here, it wasn't as severe, but, you know, this does send a signal to everyone who is watching and who's going to watch those videos about what happened.
Yeah, I miss the fun drunks because, you know, I feel like those are the folks I've always grown up with and been around. Hey, Jason, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming on again.
Yeah. You too. You take care.
Jason Collins. Hey, you too. Jason Collins joining us again on the program. All right, coming up. Finally, some on-the-record evidence of what the singer David, spelled D4VD, has been doing with himself these past many weeks as police investigate the death of his underage girlfriend. He still hasn't said a word in public, but apparently he is feeling very, very generous. Or maybe he's worried about what's going to happen when the next shoe drops. I'm going to fill in those blanks next. We had heard the R&B singer David had been spending some of his downtime these last few weeks playing video games, which wasn't on his bingo card because, of course, he was supposed to be touring the world and becoming more famous. But then his underage girlfriend was found dismembered in the trunk of his car 32 days ago, and he went underground. Apparently, though, he hasn't spent all that time on Fortnite and Roblox. Documents obtained by TMZ show that since mid-September, he's been busy transferring the deeds to 2 of his properties to his mom. One of the houses may look familiar to you. It's the one where police were called in an apparent swatting prank. That was on September 18th. And one of those deeds, it's not clear which, was transferred that very day. The other deed changed hands September 22nd. You may recall the day before the swatting, Los Angeles police raided David's massive rental house in the Hollywood Hills. And a week after that, he moved out. So is this rich and rising music star downsizing and simplifying his life at the ripe young age of 20? Or could this be that he's trying to shrink his real estate portfolio in advance of a possible wrongful death suit? Or maybe he's just feeling really generous towards his mom as they no doubt chat about the pickle that he is in. Stay tuned. And before we go to break, I promised that we would stay on the mystery of the missing Indiana mom, Brittany Gard. She's the woman who turned up in the woods 8 days after disappearing and 7 days after her house with nobody in it caught fire. Tonight, her brother-in-law tells us that she's still in the hospital more than 2 days after calling 911 herself to be rescued from the woods. Still no answer on any of our other questions, though, like what in the actual hell happened. But we'll keep asking those questions until we know. And still ahead tonight, a few words of advice before we hurl ourselves into the weekend. You know that hot new friend you found on a dating app? She may not be trying to steal your heart. She may be after your Amex or your pinky ring or your good china, especially if you're a well-off older man in the Malibu area. Be on the lookout, guys, for a curvy brunette like this. I'll introduce you to her in a moment. We all know that dating apps can be riskier than Powerball betting, but if you connect with a former Playboy model who says she's also a former penthouse pet and a top attraction on OnlyFans, there's about a 99% chance that's not going to be the person who shows up at the restaurant, in which case count yourself lucky. But if the lady who shows up really is that woman, Adva Lavi, who also goes by the name Mia Ventura and Shoshana and Queen Mia, maybe count the silverware when she leaves. Because police in LA say this lady is a predator. They say she trolls online for wealthy men, particularly the ones getting on in years. But they say she doesn't stay online for long. She shows up with sticky fingers, and not the sexy kind. She's suspected of at least 10 in-real-life burglaries in Malibu and elsewhere, and police say she's still swiping right in search of her next mark. They say she drives a black Porsche SUV and sometimes a white Mercedes, in case you happen to see her in public. And if you are one of the men that she loved and looted, police want to know that too. They ask, please call Crime Stoppers. That's 1-800-222-TIPS. 1-800-222-8477. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great weekend. Cuomo's next.